Hello, my name is Ryan, and I've been a teaching artist with Upstream Arts for 12 years. I'm also an actor, a model, an educator, and former professional athlete. Thanks so much for joining us today. I want you to watch now as my friend Tina May and I begin with mirroring and build to a conversation. So many times when I'm working with students, if I follow their lead, if I match their energy and vibe, then they're more willing to follow my lead. When I'm employing this strategy in building relationships with students, it's obviously much more subtle and will happen in brief moments and small interactions that happen over the course of time. It's a practice. Okay, let's move on.
Hello and welcome to video 4 of the Art of Engagement series. We're so glad to have you here with us. We've spent the first 3 videos exploring and establishing connections with others because we think it's foundational to build relationships. Over that time, we've talked in 5 specific areas. We've explored using the power of creativity to reshape how we teach. How to prepare ourselves is another element of thinking about how we look at the mindset of assuming ability. We've looked at how to prepare our space and the experience we design for our diversity of learners, and we've worked on being mindful of how we welcome students, how we welcome clients, how we welcome our colleagues into our spaces for those working relationships, whether we're in person or we're online. And finally, how we notice and match the experience of those that we're interacting with as a validation and a kind of acknowledgement. All of these practices are ongoing and cyclical. So once you've welcomed somebody and you don't stop, you continue to do so. You continue to do the little things in those small, ordinary moments repeated over time that say, I'm glad that you're here and I'm listening. Finding connection with others is not complicated, but it does take consistency. So with every single interaction that you've got, there's an invitation and an attempt to understand that moment that you're sharing with somebody else. Over the next 2 videos, we're going to dive into the second equation of our 3 C's, contrast plus explore equals converse. Now, we've spoken about how you can thrive on routine, how mirroring and matching can make somebody feel heard and actually make somebody feel validated. But as humans, we also seek novelty. We seek intuitively that we notice our difference in the surroundings that we've got. So we'll move from the practice of matching to one of actually conversing. Through a series of different Upstream Arts activities, we're going to explore how we can use this concept to guide the learning and how we can help us share the discovery of getting to know each other just a little bit better. Let's dive in and take a look at the schedule that we've got planned today. Mirroring, challenge, and moving statues. That's done. Welcome, intros, transitions, conversations in contrast, and then we're going to close it out. And of course, our guidelines, which include choice, support, and risk. So here's what I want you to do. As you watch, I want you to think about how you can develop new strategies for offering choice, showing support, and suggesting different challenges and risks throughout the content and curriculum. Now imagine if layering or blending on some of your strategies and activities is your way forward. Use your creativity and try and see the what if. Wow, let's keep practicing.
Whew. Thank you. Hi, my name is Matt, and today I am feeling, I'm feeling curvy. Everybody try it.
Curve.
Nice. All right, Julie.
Oh, hi. My name is Julie, and today I am feeling up.
Up. Nice. All right, Jess.
Hi, my name is Jess, and today I'm feeling
Sunny. All right, nice. Thank you. The intros activity is the anchor in every class that we run. It's an invitation to share, to self-express. Sometimes we don't even know exactly how we're feeling until somebody asks. And when we present options that are contrasting, such as, are you feeling crooked or curvy today, you can really feel people stop and think, I hadn't thought about it, but actually I'm feeling kind of crooked today. Right? One of the strongest ways we have found to present choice is by using two contrasting elements, up, down, big, small, wide, narrow. It's a clear comparison. It's intuitive. And we're learning something about ourselves in that moment because we're practicing self-awareness. Okay, well, let's keep practicing. Boink.
Thank you. All right, now we're going to do some contracting and releasing of our muscles. A great way to transition. Those of you watching, try this out with us. Here we go, Matt and Julie. Let's contract or tighten all of our muscles. Tight, tight, tight. And release. Oh yeah, it feels good to breathe with it too, right? Okay, now think about your toes and ankles and all the way up your legs in addition to what we see on the screen. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Tight, 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 and release. Okay, let's do one more. And those of you watching, join us for this one too. Let's think about our facial muscles, in addition to whatever else in your body you want to tighten as well. Ready? Tight, 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 and release. Contracting and releasing muscles is a great way to reset the energy, either within your own body or the energy of an interaction you're having with a student. You can isolate or focus on different muscles or go for the full body. Focusing on what is happening in the body is so vitally important in this time of distance learning, when the usual movements throughout the day and the school are not available. Contracting and releasing muscles is also a great way to illustrate our theme of today, contrast. While a steady or expected pattern can help ease anxiety, contrast can be a great tool to guide learning and focus attention. It's inherent in the therapy strategy of matching and pacing clients. For example, I might match my rate of speech with a client who is talking rapidly at the beginning of the session and then begin to pace the client by slowing my rate of speech, which they often then begin to match. This isn't a concept strictly for therapy, though. We do this socially all the time. We mirror or match to build a connection, and then we contrast or pace to continue into conversation. How can you be the temperature or energy level that you want your students to be, even if they're nowhere near it? If you come in very cool and relaxed while they're all burning up hot, maybe you have to get a little closer to their energy level and then bring them back down with you. You get to be the thermostat by matching and pacing. Think about all the ways that you use contrast in your work with students, be it lesson planning, classroom management, or one-on-one services. How can you practice intentionally incorporating more moments of contrast? Pause the video if you'd like and list all the ways that you can think of. Okay, let's keep going.
All right, imagine you have a new student or client, or you're reconnecting with one that you haven't seen in a while. What happens during that initial interaction? You welcome them, you share a few moments of greeting, maybe find that match of energy. What happens next? Maybe start a conversation? Well, what's the purpose? Getting to know each other or catching up. That conversation is just an exchange of information, which is what a conversation is. A conversation is a reciprocal action, back and forth. It's reacting and responding. When Caleb found dance and movement as a way to express himself so many years ago, and we moved from mirroring into having a conversation with movement, he began to tell us more about who he was. And we still converse with Caleb this way today as a family. It's our small talk and the way that we share with each other how we're doing. Communication at its core is just a back and forth exchange of ideas. And our back and forth exchanges of movement with Caleb are just as meaningful as an exchange of words. Upstream Arts was born out of this concept that a back and forth exchange of ideas and thoughts can be done with words, can be done with movement, with painting, with rhythm, with song. But it's really about discovering creative ways to have that back and forth interaction. And we've built a curriculum that puts this idea into practice. And through this practice, we learn better how to interact on so many different levels. This creative process improves our overall communication. And to begin this practice, we utilize the strategy of contrast, the state of being strikingly different than something else. So let's take a look at some of the conversations we have through our curriculum. We'll notice how we use contrast and how we're learning through this practice. In this first conversation, teaching artists Tina May and a team are playing with tempo and spatial relationship, how fast or slow they're moving, or how close or far away they are from one another, or in this case, from the camera. Notice when they match their partner, when they try on the other person's shape as a way to understand, and when they pace or do something different. That use of contrast really catches my attention and holds my interest. All right, in this next scene, a team and Ryan have a sound conversation where they're using just their vocal sounds and rhythms. Now, notice how they're fully engaged in listening to their partner. When we take away words from our communication, it really focuses our attention and forces us to listen and look for different clues. Next, in Paint the Conversation, Tina May and a team use lines and shapes to communicate. Notice how they sometimes repeat what their partner has said and then add on. They're exploring each other's communication styles. They're matching and pacing. And again, notice how this different style of communication makes them really stop and look at what the other person has said with their drawing. This activity is a great practice for observant listening. In person, this activity can be done on the same canvas to really interesting results. What do you see in these conversations? Through these conversations, we're practicing how to discover together in the moment the different ways that we communicate. And this kind of practice through abstract play can really build confidence and make us feel more prepared for those daily interactions that we have. Because every interaction is a conversation. And when you're fully engaged and curious and interested in what somebody else has to say, people notice. All right. As we wrap up this video, we want to share with you some examples of these conversations between our teaching artists and students in our classrooms. As you watch, imagine how you might use these strategies in your own work. Enjoy. We'll see you next video when we'll take a look at the second part of our converse equation, explore. All right. Keep practicing being creative.
Look at Chad.
Oh.
Look at Chad.
Right here.
Chad, make sure you're looking at Caroline. Your son, man.